I'm Derek Steer, CEO of Superframe, and I'm here talking to you because go-to-market software is pretty broken. A lot of it can be good, but it just requires so much work to configure everything that very few companies really make the most of it. The way that it should work is your go-to-market organization should have a process that's perfectly tailored to your business and to your customers. And once you know that process, it should be codified into your systems using all of the appropriate rules and automation. But that's really difficult to achieve. So difficult that a lot of companies end up doing it backwards. They start with what's easy or what's possible in their systems, and then they end up compromising on their processes to fit into what they can actually achieve. And I get why it's hard. It's really difficult to figure out what process you even need in the first place. It takes analysis, it takes iteration, and both of those things are difficult to do until you have your systems configured properly in the first place. So it's kind of a catch-22. You build the systems around the processes you want, but you don't know what the process should be until you have high-functioning systems. And then to make matters worse, it's hard to actually get anything done in the software directly. I mean, even something as simple as adding a new field to Salesforce can be a pain. You got to figure out all of the different people who are going to see it and how their permissions should interact with it. Or even just changing a field, right? If you want to change an existing field, you got to go figure out all of the things that might break as a result. And that can take hours, maybe days in some cases, depending on what the field is. It's just awful. And then if you really want to unlock the promise of all of this go-to-market tech, you can't just work in Salesforce. I mean, Salesforce on its own is nowhere near enough to run a sales org, let alone an entire go-to-market operation. For that, you need sales enablement software, and you need marketing automation and data enrichment, and probably a data warehouse, and all these things that should work in harmony. But instead, the way it actually works is it's shockingly easy to accidentally trigger a contact sync from Marketo to Salesforce that eats through all your Salesforce API calls and overwrites a bunch of data that you needed to keep. A big part of the reason that these systems work so poorly is that configuring them takes too long and costs too much. And so you skimp on the things that don't feel absolutely necessary, like cleaning the system up. So, as an example, Salesforce is only going to allow you to add up to 800 custom fields on the opportunity object. Well, that's probably more than most people need or should use. I mean, that's just confusing to have 800 fields on the object. And yet, I've spoken with a shocking number of RevOps teams who've hit that limit, and not even at particularly large or mature companies. The way that it happens is they rush to implement processes or features without taking time to clean up the system because they just don't have the resources to go and do that cleanup. And so even though they start with a wide open pathway from a new lead to closed business, the system pretty quickly becomes this tangled briar patch that is difficult to work in, and maybe even so difficult that the teams find it easier to declare bankruptcy and just start over. I've seen that a bunch of times. I could go on talking about all these problems, but I want to get back to my original point, which is that it's just really hard to get to exactly the right process and rules and automation for your business and your customers. And that is the problem that Superframe is here to solve. And we're going to do it in a couple parts. The first part is going to be about understanding what's happening in your processes and systems today. And then the second will be about making adjustments quickly. So how are we going to do this? Well, we're starting with Salesforce because in the solar system of the go-to-market tool stack, Salesforce is the sun. And we're going to focus on making it easy to understand everything happening in Salesforce. So right now, we are building tools that make it easy to discover things that you can do to improve the quality of your instance, from identifying bad data to recommending rules or automation. With that information, you'll be able to use our AI-driven chat interface to ask follow-up questions about the system's configuration or the data in the system, and you'll be able to get an answer back in real time. From there, we're going to expand in two directions. One of those is going to be to other tools in the go-to-market stack. So a lot of what happens in Salesforce originates in a process starting in some other tool, whether that's marketing automation or sales enablement. And I mean that both in terms of the business process and the data. Marketing teams at B2B companies cannot track their effectiveness at all unless they can attribute closed business back to their efforts. And in doing that in a kind of repeatable way, that's going to require a CRM and marketing software to be integrated well with well-organized campaign structure and well-defined attribution criteria. So all that to say, we're going to operate across the entire go-to-market stack because it's necessary in order to fully remove the bottlenecks that are created by these systems in the first place. The other direction that we're going to expand will be to enable direct configuration of these systems. So once you identify the changes you want to make, the natural next step, of course, is to make those changes. And you shouldn't have to leave Superframe to do that. This probably seems like such an obvious choice that it begs a different question. Why aren't we just doing that from the start? And the answer is really simple: accuracy. And this is going to be our promise to you. It's going to take a while to feel confident that we're not only making the changes that you're looking for, but that we're pushing you toward best practices rather than creating cruft. And we're not breaking anything in the process, right? It's not enough just to make the change that you want. We got to keep everything else in line too. And one of the great challenges with AI, or really any software that feels like a black box, is that if it gives you the wrong answer, trusting it the next time is going to be really hard. And so the standard to which we're going to hold ourselves when it comes to accuracy is extremely high, because we won't be able to help you if you don't trust us. And so that's our plan. I'm going to keep doing videos like this just to check in with all of you, let you know what we're working on. And so if you want to follow along, you can sign up for early access and you can subscribe to our newsletter at superframe.ai. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel directly from this video. We're bringing in leaders of all go-to-market functions to share their experience and knowledge so that we can all improve our thinking. Because when Superframe eliminates all these systems bottlenecks, our ceilings as go-to-market operators and leaders, our ceilings are only going to be our own knowledge and experience, not the systems that we have to work in. So we want to elevate that knowledge and experience too. Once again, I'm Derek Steer. I'll be back soon with more updates. Thanks.